Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time for the continuation of the football alphabet series as we move into the letter W. Now, of course, unlike the X video, there was actually a lot of choice when it came to the letter W, so therefore I have been able to split the episodes up into two parts. So this episode will be the clubs whose names begin with W, and the next part will be the players whose surnames begin with the letter W. If you've missed any of the episodes that I've put out so far, a link to the playlist is in the description of this video if you so choose to watch any of them. And whilst you're here, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoy the video and enjoy my content as a whole. But without further ado, let's get into the clubs whose names begin with W. Number 1. Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm limiting myself to just one entry per country in this series, meaning that West Ham are subsequently disregarded for this video, as arguably, despite West Ham's contributions to the 1966 World Cup winning squad, Wolves are the more historical club, and, perhaps indisputably so, are the better team right now, so therefore they are the ones to feature in this video. Founded as a school team in 1877, they merged with Blakenhall Wanderers in 1879, thus becoming Wolverhampton Wanderers, but they will be known as Wolves for the rest of this video. They were one of the founding members of the Football League in 1888, and they won 2 FA Cups pre-World War I in 1893 and 1908. But by the latter's triumph, they were in the second tier, and they wouldn't re-establish themselves at the top tier until the mid-1930s, under Major Frank Buckley. During his tenure at the club, they finished runners-up in both the pre-World War II seasons in 1938 and 1939, and lost the FA Cup final, which must have been very unlucky. But their tactic for this? Well, it was to improve their stamina and performance levels by injecting monkey gland extracts into their players, something which was scorned upon by the FA, but not prohibited. I kid you not, this was a thing. When the monkey gland extracts were removed under club legend Stan Cullis, Wolves won 3 league titles during the 1950s and finished runners-up thrice more, as well as winning 2 FA Cups. In 1954, they beat Honved in a friendly match, the Hungarian side who contained many of the players who had just thrashed England twice in the previous 12 months, leading to them being proclaimed champions of the world by the press. Gabriel Anel responded to this, calling for the inception of a European Cup, and the next season, the first tournament was played, so clearly Wolves have a lot of historical significance. Despite a UEFA Cup final appearance in 1972 where they lost to Spurs, and League Cup successes in 1974 and 1980, they suffered financial meltdown and found themselves in the 4th tier by 1986. They recovered to be in the Premier League by 2003 and then again in 2009, but suffered a second consecutive relegation under Dean Saunders to send them down to League One in 2013. Fortune International saw a project that could have emerged, however, and they invested in Wolves with the help of Jorge Mendes, the Portuguese super agent whose clients include Cristiano Ronaldo, in 2016, and they are a force to be reckoned with in the Premier League and Europe once again. Number 2. Wisła Kraków. One of Poland's giants, Wisła Kraków were founded in 1906, adding the word Wisła to their name in honour of the Vistula river that runs through the city. Bear in mind, the word in Polish for that is Wisła. Their first major silverware arrived in 1926 with the Polish Cup, and then they won the first 2 seasons of the Polish National League, now known as the Ekstraklasa, in 1928 and 1929. Interestingly, their next 2 titles also came back to back in 1949 and 1950, although they again topped the league in 1951, but for some reason the champions were decided by the cup winners that season, which were Ruch Chorzów and not Wisła Kraków. Success was bare on the ground for the next 48 years, barring a league triumph in 1978 and a run to the European Cup quarter-finals the very next season. That all changed with the purchase of the club by the owner of the Telefonica company in 1998, and in the next 13 years they went on to win 7 titles, finish runners-up a further 3 times, and reach the UEFA Cup last 16 in 2003, narrowly losing to Lazio. Ever since 2012 though, no major trophies or continental football have arrived Krakow's way, and last season saw them narrowly avoid relegation to Poland's 2nd tier. For fans of Borussia Dortmund, or anyone who used Dortmund to death on FIFA 12 and FIFA 13, much like me, Jakub Błaszczykowski is currently at Krakow, attempting to turn around their fortunes, and not really succeeding. Number 3. Werder Bremen. One of the most unique founding processes can be found with Werder Bremen, who were founded after a 16-year-old won a tug-of-war competition in 1899, being rewarded with a football and going on to form Werder Bremen later that year. They slowly established themselves as a regional powerhouse, winning 4 regional league titles between 1934 and 1942, and after finishing second in the Oberliga Nord behind Hamburg in 1963, they earned themselves qualification to the soon-to-be-formed Bundesliga. They've only been relegated once since, in the 1979 to 1980 season, although they returned straight away, and they hold the record of the most games ever played in the Bundesliga, overtaking their bitter rivals Hamburg in 2019 after their own failed promotion attempt. They've won the Bundesliga 4 times, in 1965, 1988, 1993 and 2004, as well as finishing runners-up a further 7 times. During the 1980s, they became Bayern Munich's biggest rival, but as a result of Bayern's pulling power and clout, they weren't able to sustain their challenges for too long. Although they did win 5 DFB Pokals in 20 years, including their last major trophy, which arrived in 2009, and the European Cup Winners' Cup in 1992. However, they were very nearly relegated last season, but they saved themselves on the final day of the season after winning, and Dusseldorf lost, to send them down instead, before winning the relegation playoff match against Heidenheim. Diego, Claudio Pizarro, Rudi Voller and Per Mertesacker are amongst the notable list of alumni. Number 4. Wydad Casablanca. We're clearly having a trend of weird club creations today, as Wydad Casablanca are named thus after one of the founding members was late to the meeting where they were going to decide upon their name, because he was watching a film entitled Wedad, translated into Arabic as Wydad and into English as love. The others liked it so much that they bestowed it upon the club, and as such, Wydad Casablanca was born. However, merely 4 years after its founding, it was demoted to the second tier by the French colonisers. The club was a fervent backer of Moroccan independence, and they were seen by many as the standard bearers of Moroccan football at the time, especially since they fielded 10 Moroccans frequently in their starting 11, the maximum number that were allowed at this time. Fans flocked to see them, but the French authorities, who were clearly scared about their power, wanted an equal number of French and Moroccan-run clubs in the league, and Wydad, perhaps unsurprisingly considering their symbolism, were the ones to suffer. No matter, in the years since, they've become the most successful club in the country, winning 20 league titles, including 3 in the last 5 seasons, 9 Moroccan Throne Cups between 1970 and 2001, and the CAF Champions League in 1992 and 2017, as well as finishing runners-up last season. They won the first title post-independence in the country in 1957 too, and are nicknamed the Emperor, potentially as a result of having royal honours bestowed upon them by the first emperor of the newly independent country, and also as a result of their hegemony over the country, in all likelihood. Incredibly, they've gone through 25 managers since 2003, including John Toshak, the longest serving manager of that period, who lasted a staggering 2 whole years, and Nello Viganda, who lasted 6 weeks before resigning. Number 5. Wellington Phoenix. We take our first trip down under in this entire series with Wellington Phoenix, who are New Zealand's representatives in the Australian A-League after the New Zealand Knights' licence was revoked owing to financial irregularities in 2007. However, as a result of Australia's affiliation with the Asian Football Confederation and New Zealand's affiliation with the Oceania Football Confederation, problems then arose, and Mohammed bin Haman, then president of the AFC, demanded that either they move to Australia or the licence would be revoked. But FIFA intervened, stating that it is their policy to decide on such matters, and they sided with Wellington, although they were unable to qualify for the Asian Champions League as a result of this. They were the first New Zealand-based side to qualify for the A-League playoffs in 2010, but they lost the preliminary finals to Sydney FC, and financial troubles embedded themselves in the club between 2012 and 2013, with manager Ricky Herbert claiming that he was owed up to 100,000 Australian dollars in unpaid wages. That season, they finished last, and in the next 5 seasons, they finished second to last on a further 3 occasions, although things seem to be on the up at the moment, as they're currently 3rd in the delayed A-League season. Stephen Taylor, the ex-Newcastle defender, is currently the captain and the highest profile player who has been associated with the Phoenix in its history so far, which, admittedly, is not a very long one. That just about wraps up today's video on the football alphabet of clubs beginning with W. Again, if you've missed any of the previous episodes, a link to the playlist is in the description, so go and check all of them out if you haven't done so already. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.